All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever it is, whatever time zone you happen to be in as you are watching this. My name is Rhonda M. Jordan, for those of you that might be new to me. And today I'm going to be sharing a topic that I know a lot of people are excited about because each time I send out an email message that has these two words, digital product, in the title, the subject line, I always have a lot of individuals that either one, open it, or two, reply back to me with questions. So I know this is a very popular topic. And what I want to do today is to actually share with you seven different products, simple digital products that you can create that really don't require a lot of time, but are very much in demand. So let's see here. We have North Carolina who is joining us. And as you come in, by all means, share with me where it is. Say hello and share with me where you're watching if you're comfortable doing that. And also, if you're on the replay, feel free to say hello as well. I want to tell you a little bit about myself in case you are new to me and the topics that I actually cover, what it is I do. And specifically, what I do is I teach individuals who are 45 years of age and older how to create an online business focused on selling digital products. Now, there are a lot of elements that go into that. So I also teach you, for example, how to build an audience from scratch, which most people don't know how to do, but definitely need to in order to effectively sell digital products. I also teach you how to get email subscribers and then what to say as you're communicating with them. Then I teach you how to actually create and sell digital products online. And I also show you how you can earn additional income through affiliate marketing. So if any or all of those topics are things that you're interested in, I can tell you, you are definitely in the right place. And as we're going through the training today, if you have questions or need further explanation, feel free to drop your questions into the comment section and I'll make sure to go through and answer those. All right, and same thing applies for those of you that are watching the replay. I'll come back later, review your questions and comments, and reply to those as well. All right, so let's go ahead and get right into the information. So, the first thing that I want to do is to let you know that when you are creating a digital product, the first thing to do or to know is that you have to, or you really need to have a specific individual in mind. Now, I'm assuming you've already figured out your niche, but within that, you have to have a specific individual in mind in order to help you create the digital product that they're going to be most likely to buy. And so once you figure out who that individual is, the next thing is you've got to figure out what they're struggling with. And once you know that, that's the thing to use to create your digital product. So it's almost like you're playing detective for a while, where you are looking for clues as to what they're struggling with. Then you can create a product and then you can figure out what format is best for the product that you're going to be creating. All right, so the thing that I'm going to do, and you'll see me looking over at my notes here, which are on a separate screen here. So if you see me looking off to the side, I'm not ignoring you. I'm just making sure I don't miss anything in the training. So one thing that I also want to share with you before I give you the seven specific digital products is I'm not a big fan of you selling on platforms like Etsy. Okay. And the reason for it, I'm going to share that with you right out of the gates. Now, I know if you're doing that, fine, but at some point I want you to migrate over to a site that you yourself own. And the reason why I don't recommend selling on sales platforms such as that is simply because number one, you don't own that platform. Number two, there's going to be so much competition and it's just basic supply and demand. The larger the number of people selling similar items, the lower the cost that, or the lower the price you're going to be able to command for it. Whereas if you're selling on your own platform, you're your only competition. So I want you to think in terms of that. The other thing is selling platforms like that, they have listing fees. And one of the biggest challenges that I find is that you don't own those customers, which means once someone purchases from you, you really can only, send them a DM or something along those lines, but they're not in your ecosystem, if you will, meaning where you can share with them additional products you have and so forth. So I hope that helps you understand what my position is on selling platforms and why I believe you should have your own. And I'll share with you also, I'll share with you some other suggestions on platforms that I personally use and recommend. All right, so let's see. Um, you said you have heard, and I've always had some reservations about it. I do too, because to me, if you create a product that you could every bit sell on your own platform for $27, why would you want to sell it on a sales platform where you're only going to be able to get 3 or 5 or $7 for it? It just, I know some people like it because they feel like there's built in traffic. But again, one of the things I do is I teach you how to grow your own audience so you don't have to worry about traffic. You can create your own. So that's always been a reason why I really don't prefer them. Now I know some people love it, and if that's your thing, go for it. But the other thing that I want to do is to also help you understand the things you should be looking for when you get ready to create the product that you're going to create. And that is, think of yourself, because more likely than not, you are a previous version. Your previous version of yourself is who your ideal customer is. So think about it this way: if you are really passionate about a specific topic, and you really took and dived in and became, familiar with it and learned everything you possibly could as much as possible, think about where you were a year ago or 2 years ago. What were you searching for? What were you trying to figure out? And that is who your ideal customer is. That's what they're trying to figure out. So you can very well create those products that would help them. Maybe things you've put together yourself to allow you to move forward. So there are all sorts of ways to figure out what it is that you're going to be creating. Now, the other thing is with this, and I'll share with you what my flow is in that I teach. But right now, what I'm going to do is just get right into the products, and then I'll come back and share even more about why this whole process of discovery and getting people on your email list and so forth is so important. So grab your pens and paper, grab your, digital tools, whatever it is that you take notes with, because I'm going to give you these things. So the first thing that anybody can create is a checklist. A simple checklist. Now, here's the thing I want to give you a few examples of, and you'd have to modify these examples for your specific niche. But for example, a checklist is so simple because all it does is give people a list of things to do prior to completing something. Think about an airline pilot. When they're sitting in the cockpit before they take off, they go through a checklist, and they do it every single time. There are going to be specific things that your ideal customer needs to do that would better be served by having a checklist that they can follow so that they don't forget anything. So let me give you an example of a really good checklist, and I have some others I'm going to share with you as well. Let's say that you've taken 8 cruises and you've done them with your family. So you know for a fact the things you need to do to prepare for yourself to go on a cruise, but you also know the things that you need to do to prepare for an entire family to go on a cruise. Things that you're going to need to pack, things that, you want to make sure that they have with them. Clothing items and so forth. So if you have done a lot of cruising, you know what should be on that list. Well, somebody who is brand new to cruising, or perhaps brand new to cruising with a family, would love to have a checklist like that. So now I'm not going to tell you that you can sell this checklist for a lot of money. You're not going to be able to sell it for a lot, but sometimes that's really not the goal. Sometimes the goal is just to earn that initial initial sale so that people get to know you and how you present content and how thorough you can be and so forth. But other examples of a checklist might be, let's say you're in my world, online, teaching online marketing to people. It could be a lead magnet launch checklist. What things do people need to do before they launch their first lead magnet? It could be a YouTube video upload checklist, because Lord knows when we do YouTube videos, there are specific things that we have to do and that have to be included. Another thing could be a weekly content planning checklist. So what things need to happen in order to make sure all of your content is properly planned for the entire week. Another thing could be a digital product creation checklist. And then another thing could be an email list setup checklist. What do I mean by that? Before you send out an email, so my email messages go out each Tuesday morning, there are specific things that I do to make sure that that email is going to work the way I want it to. So I have, multiple subject lines that I'm going to think about or come up with. I'm going to have preview text in it. I'm going to make sure its readability is good, meaning some things are bolded, some things are italicized, and so forth. And then I send it to myself. So I hope you're understanding this. These are things that could very easily be put into a checklist. So I want you to think about what you do, what your niche is, and what types of checklists could you create that could be beneficial for your ideal customer. All right. So the next thing that I'll tell you about checklists is people love them because it kind of takes the worry out of, did I miss something? Did I forget to do something? Or let's say, for example, they send out their email and they realize they missed a step. Well, that email checklist could have come in handy. So just understand that it allows people to be more organized. It's just a really good, simple thing that you can do. Honestly, creating a checklist is as simple as opening up a Google Doc or Microsoft Word or Pages if you're an Apple user, and just simply putting the steps in order. Now, here's one thing I will say to you is when you create a checklist, before you go ahead and launch it as your digital product, I want you to go through the checklist, following the steps exactly as you've written them out, because I don't want you to do it from memory like you know what to do. I want you to follow the steps on the checklist, because that way, if you've missed anything, you're going to pick it up pretty quickly. All right. So definitely something that you can do. Now, one of my favorite digital products, so this will be number 2, is a workbook. Now, one thing I like about a good workbook is, there are still people that like to think on paper, as I like to say. So they like to write things out, or, if it's a fillable PDF, they can do that. Because what this is going to allow them to do is you put some prompts in, and then it causes them to have to think through it. And these are good for example, let's say that if I wanted to create a digital product creation workbook, I could give them the prompts, have them write it out, go to the next prompt, they'd write it out. And all you really have to do is add in the prompts. You have to then add in spaces, which are simple boxes. And again, you can do that in a Google Doc, Microsoft Word, or Pages, easy stuff that you can do so that they have a place to write things out. Because in some cases, people are actually going to print this out and sit down and write it out. Others are going to just type it in on, their tablets or phones or their desktop computers. So a good workbook is really good. And I'm telling you, these are really popular right now. So if you can think of something that the process and it is something that could be taught to people where they would need to think it through, a workbook might be your tool. It might be your digital product. Now, the thing about a workbook because it is a little more complicated. It's definitely more complicated than a checklist. You can charge more for that. And all you really need to do to get this up and running is you put a cover on it. You put, I always encourage you to include an About Me page so that people get to know who you are. And then you tell them what the workbook is designed to do. Maybe there's a simple page, and then you put your prompts in, along with space for them to write things out. Now, you can do this again, as I mentioned, in Google Docs. You could also head over to Canva and find a template of something that is already worked up. Now, understand that whenever you do a template in Canva, you are going to need to modify it. I always say significantly. Change the colors, change the fonts, and of course, because it's your content, you're going to be changing all of that out. You have to be able to modify it significantly before you can sell it as your own. Now, the one thing that you do want to think through with Canva, if you decide to do it in Canva, is remember, if it's super, super colorful in that, people might be reluctant to print it out. But maybe you don't really care if they print it out. Maybe you can want to just go ahead and add in boxes that allow it to become fillable. So just understand there's multiple ways that you can create it. And I promise you, people love a good workbook. All right. Now, the next thing that I want to share with you that you can do as a digital product, so this is going to be number 3, is a short guide. And when I say a short guide, I'm talking about something that's typically going to be, 10 to 20 pages in length. Now, sometimes when I'm teaching people how to create a lead magnet, I'll say create a short guide. But typically, that's going to be even shorter. That's going to be about 5 pages. Because this is a digital product, you want to go a little bit more in depth with this. So that's where I would suggest that you have a few more pages added in there. But I don't want you putting pages in just for the sake of trying to extend it. You want to put pages in that are relevant, that are necessary, that are required for them, whoever your audience member is, in order for them to be able to complete the process, whatever it is that you're going to be teaching them. So let's say, for example, let me give you a couple of different things that you could use as example. So let's say that one of your ideas is how to plan 30 days worth of content. So you think about what could you include in that 10 to 20 pages. And remember, it doesn't even have to be 20 pages. It just needs to be effective. What would you put in there? So maybe you could put a 30-day calendar in there that has examples of content content ideas that they could post for a specific day. So that might be one of the things you put in there. You certainly have to put, a definition of or an example of what it is their month is going to look like. That would be another way to do it. Now let's switch gears and go to something that is not online marketing related, because this might not be your thing. Let's say, for example, you want to teach someone how to knit a baby blanket, and you give them, maybe they're brand new to knitting. So you could put in there things like the types of knitting needles they're going to need, the type of yarn that you recommend. You could put in there examples of stitches. And here's the thing about a good ebook or guide, if you will, is one thing that you're able to do is you can put hyperlinks into it where they can click on it and then be directed to, let's say, a video that you've recorded. So that way they can see you demonstrate the stitches that need to be done. You can also give them care instructions once they complete the baby blanket. So there's just a lot of things that you can incorporate into it. So I love a good guide because it's going to teach people how to do something in a very short number of pages. All right. All right. Now let's move on to the next thing. Number 4, which is going to be templates. Now, with templates, think about all the different things that you could create as a template. I saw something today that I thought was really creative. It was done as a YouTube short, and it just popped up on my For You page. And this woman used her iPad and the Canva mobile app to actually create a Galentine's Day invitation. And she walked through all of the steps. Well, that type of template, maybe somebody's interested in hosting a Galentine's Day, or they're going to be hosting some other type of party. You could create invitations very simply, which are templates, and then that way you can sell that template. People download it, they customize it according to, their needs and color schemes and fonts and so forth. So that could be a very good digital product that you could create. Another thing that you could create would be, for example, social media templates, social media content templates. So maybe you have a specific type of format that you use when you post online and people love it and they want a copy of it. That's something you could create as a Canva template, create a share link, and then you just simply put the share link into a PDF. They download it, click on it, and now they're able to use that. Another thing would be a content calendar template. Remember, I mentioned that if you were going to do a guide, you could give them a page that has a 30-day calendar on it with content ideas. Well, you could sell that just as a content calendar template. That by itself could be a digital product. Another thing, and this is going to be a little bit more complicated, however, if you're into this, it could work. If you have created a sales page to be able to sell a course or other digital products, you could actually sell the template for that sales page. So that could be a digital product for you. Another thing would be your YouTube description template. For example, I use a very specific thing. If you look at the description below this video, there's very specific things that I include in my YouTube video descriptions. You could do the exact same thing and you could sell that as a digital product. Now, another thing, a little bit more complicated, but to me, when it's a little more complicated, you can also sell it and charge more for that as well. So if you're familiar with project management tools such as Notion or ClickUp or even Trello, you could create templates that you in turn sell to other people. And you can create templates for almost anything with ClickUp and Notion and Trello. So really, really simple to do, particularly if you are familiar with these specific applications. If you're not familiar, it's not going to be that easy to do. But if you're really familiar with them, you could very easily create templates and then be able to sell those. So again, that's definitely going to be something that you would simply create. You'd create the share link and then send that over once people purchase your digital product, if you will. All right, so any questions as we're going through any of this, drop them in because I want to make sure that your wheels are starting to spin, that you're starting to think about things you for a fact know how to do and could very easily create a digital product around it. Because oftentimes when I'm talking to people, they're like, well, I don't know. I don't know what I could create as a digital product. And then I start asking questions like, well, what do you know how to do? What is it that people in your audience are interested in? What is it if you don't even have an audience at this point? Chances are you have been on another creator's YouTube videos and maybe there are comments that where people are asking specific things and you know how to answer those. Well, that could be the making of your digital product. Or if you've been on Instagram and someone, same thing, larger creator, has talked about something, but you see that there are questions that have gone unanswered, jot that stuff down and start thinking about digital products that you could create that would help solve those problems. Now, think about it this way. You might be saying, well, the only one person is asking that. Typically, what you're going to find is when there is a question like that, even though only one person asked the question, Typically, multiple people have that same question. And oftentimes, larger creators just do not have the time to go back through their content and look for all the questions that are in the comments section. So, a lot of those things just get missed. So, to me, those are missed opportunities and definitely something for you to be able to pick up on and run with it. All right. So, you say the wheels are definitely turning. I already thought about some of these things. It's nice to know I'm on the right track. Absolutely. Because that's the thing most people do is they start overthinking it. Don't overthink it. Spend your time creating it. That's what I want you to do. And you're definitely on the right track if you've been thinking about any of these things. And I will go back. Let me just quickly recap in case someone came in later. The first items, number one is a checklist, just a simple checklist. The second thing is going to be a workbook, where, as I mentioned, that allows people to think through a process and write things out after they've thought through it. The third thing is going to be a short guide or ebook. Think 10 to 20 pages, nothing more than that, is really necessary. And then number four, we just talked about, which was templates. And I gave you several different examples of templates. All right, now, number five, this one's really easy to do, which is a swipe file. Now, if you're not familiar with a swipe file, let me give you one of the best examples of it. It's nothing more than a collection of something. So think in terms of maybe you have been online and you found some excellent headlines, things that were scroll stoppers, and you just started copying those examples into, let's say, a Google Doc or something like that, or you started screenshotting those things. You can actually get, let's say, 15, 20 of those, drop them into a file, and these are going to serve as examples of things that people, your customer, could follow to create their own headlines, if you will. Now, you might be thinking, well, why would someone pay for that? Because you've done all the work. Now they don't have to do it. And all they have to do is open up your document and they have a bunch of different scroll stopping headlines. Another way could be something like hooks. Maybe you've seen some really good hooks that people have used also to stop the scroll. You could do the same thing. Just start jotting those down, get them into a document, and sell them as, 25, 50, 75, 100 hooks or something like that. So that could be something you sell as a swipe file. Now, I would definitely disclose that these are examples that you found online because you don't want to take somebody else's work and claim it as your own. So make sure that you do that. But people will, in fact, pay for a swipe file. Remember, it saves them time. Okay, so typically with a digital product, if it's going to save somebody time or save them some money or allow them to make money, they'll pay for it. So just understand that that could definitely be something you could do. Another thing could be YouTube titles could make up your swipe file. So if you've seen some really good YouTube titles, those are definitely things that you could put together in a file and people would be willing to purchase. The second thing would be calls to action. Now, I'm assuming you know what a call to action is, but there might be someone on here who doesn't. A call to action is nothing more than the next step you want someone to take. So, for example, it might be buy now. Okay, it might be book a call with me. It might be join my or subscribe to my channel. Click the follow button, click the like button. Those are pretty simple. But again, if people don't really know what they should be including in a call to action, that could work. Now, I'll tell you one thing that I haven't seen a lot of, but I think would be really beneficial as a swipe file. You know how when you see the call to action button where someone is going to actually purchase something, maybe you can go through and find what is the wording that various people have used on the button that they want people to click. It might be grab my copy or grab your copy now or yeah, I'm definitely in. because again, people oftentimes don't want to have to think through this stuff. They just want examples of it. So that would be a really good swipe file as well. All right. And also remember, a lot of your customers are going to be beginners. So not only do they not want to have to think through it, they just don't even know where to start. So this could be a really good item for them to actually purchase. All right. Now, number 6 is definitely more work, but I love them. And these are going to be mini courses. And when I say a mini course, I'm really talking about something that could be completed, meaning your purchaser, your reader, could go through your entire course in 1 hour to maybe 2 hours, no more than two. Honestly, I like a good 90-minute course, because that way you can actually put that together using maybe 3 modules. Maybe you have some short lessons with, you definitely would have short lessons within there. And typically when I do a mini course like this, I keep my lessons to about 5 to 7 minutes, typically no more than that, because now people are looking at it and they're like, I can get through that. It's not going to take me, 4, 5, 6, or 10 hours to go through it. Now, the thing about creating a course is, remember, you have to provide a transformation. You have to show people how to go from point A, which is, I don't know what I'm doing, over here to point Z. I got it. I understand it. And your transformation statement is going to explain to them what you're going to do in order to make that happen, or help them understand the process. So here's what I will say: if you've never created a digital product, I don't believe starting with a mini course is in fact the easiest thing to do, but it can be done if you've created multiple digital products in the past, or you've thought about some things and maybe they're just sitting on your computer gathering digital dust, as I like to say, because I know some of you have created digital products, you've just never launched them. But you might be able to take some of the components of those digital products that you've created but haven't launched and pull them together in a mini course. All right. So that is definitely something that you can create. And again, it's not that it's difficult, but it's going to require you being comfortable in front of a camera where you show up. You're going to have a bit of editing skills in place in order to be able to do it. So that's why I'm saying it's not too difficult, but it does require a little bit more work. I'll say it that way. All right. Now, the next thing is a toolkit. Number 7, this is. And number 7, a toolkit is just a collection of resources. So let's say, for example, let's go back to that baby blanket example. Let's say that someone wants to create their very first baby blanket, but you're not teaching the concept of how to do it. What you're going to do is just give them resources that they can use. So, for example, you might give them different types of knitting needles. That might be one of your resources. The second thing might be different types of yarn, based upon your experience, what's worked best. The third thing might be something like, a way to learn stitches, or maybe there's some place that you can direct them to where somebody is actually teaching the specific stitches. The fourth thing might be maybe some patterns. So if you understand what I'm saying, it's just the resources. You're no longer teaching them. You're just giving them the resources necessary to complete whatever it is that they want to do. Now, I'll tell you this, toolkits work really well. People love it because, again, it saves them time. They don't have to go running all over the internet trying to figure out all of these different things. And you can definitely sell a good toolkit for, $17. Sometimes you can sell them for more than that if you're including other things with it. All right. Now, one other thing I want to tell you about creating a digital product is this. When you create digital products, I want to make sure that you incorporate some of your own experience into it. It's not enough. Well, some people do this, but I don't think it works really well. It's not enough to me to just put a bunch of stuff out there. I'm going to tell you my own experience. I'm going to share with you do's and don'ts, based upon, again, my own experience. So I really believe that some of the best digital products include your personal experience. Now, why am I even sharing this with you? Because oftentimes people's tendency when they get ready to create a digital product is to run right over to ChatGPT or Claude or whatever it is, and then have it kick everything out and they want to paste it into a Google Doc and run with it. You can do that, but I will tell you the best digital products are going to include your own personal experience. Let me give you a couple of examples. Um, I just recently, we did in my community, which I'll tell you about. The name of my community on school is the Digital Business Roadmap. We just did a lead magnet challenge where we created idea all the way to launch on lead magnets within for various individuals within the community. Now, what I was able to share with them was my own personal experience, which was number one, the very first time I created a lead magnet, I just let it sit there. I didn't do anything with it. The second thing I could tell them was I created a lead magnet without knowing what my audience really wanted. So no one downloaded it. The third thing I can tell them about having done that is that it's better for you to do the research up front of what people are searching for, what they're trying to figure out before you just create a lead magnet and operate off of hope. Okay. Meaning, I hope somebody downloads this. Hope is not a strategy in business like this. You need to know what people are looking for. So I was able to put my own experience into that. And you know what? People appreciate that. So, what I'm saying to you is, I'm not telling you that you can't use ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, whatever it is you want to use. You can, because that's your idea buddy. It's going to help you outline things. But then when you get ready to write it, create it, do whatever, you need to put some you into it, because that's the thing that's going to make people say, okay, I get it. They understand me. They've been through this. I like the way he or she explains this. They answer questions because they experience some of the same thing I'm experiencing. So I hope that helps you understand how you cannot, you shouldn't really create a product that is just a copy of something that came from ChatGPT, because quite frankly, why do they need you then? Why should they pay for it if you're just going to spit out a bunch of stuff onto a Google Doc that came from ChatGPT? They could just bypass you and go right to, their favorite AI tool. So I want to make sure you understand that. And I think this is where a lot of where people who are strictly using AI, and don't get me wrong, I'm not against AI. I use it every single day in some form or fashion. But where the difference comes in is those individuals that can share their own personal experiences and I believe, are going to far succeed and outweigh what other individuals are doing that are just kicking out chat gpt stuff, AI stuff, I guess is what I'm saying. So any other questions as we have gone through this? Any thoughts, any light bulbs going on, any questions that you have? Feel free to drop those in. And I always like to tell you, if in fact you have any things that you're wondering about in terms of types of digital products, you can drop those in and I can give you my thoughts on those as well. All right. So I also want to say, and again, I'm looking at my notes over here, so I'm not ignoring you. But I also want to say, let's see, could you sell a OneNote template? I can't find a tool that allows me to insert the ability to allow users to insert pictures. Sure. Absolutely could. All you would have to do is be able to create a copy of it so that people would not be able to edit or modify your original. So that's where I was mentioning earlier, like a share link. So that way they're getting their own copy or they're forced to make their own copy. But you absolutely could do that. Remember, if it's causing a problem for you, if there's something missing, that's like finding a hole in the market, so to speak. So that means it's probably a nuisance for other people. They're probably trying to figure it out as well. So you definitely could do that. So That, definitely try it out and see. And if in fact you already started building an audience? Because another way to find out if this is something that people are looking for is to run a poll. You could do a poll on Instagram if that's your platform of choice. You could do it on Facebook. You could do it on Instagram. I'm sorry, you could do it on YouTube in the community or the post page. There are all sorts of ways to run a poll to find out and just simply say to them, would this be something you'd be interested in if this was available? Yes or no? And you tell them what it is. And people will tell you. Now, you might have to run it a couple of times in a different variation because remember, not everyone in your audience is going to see every post that you make. So even though you put the poll out there, you might have to do it again the following week to see if more people get the chance to actually see it. All right. Okay. So let's see here. Now, a couple of other things I want to share with you that will help you is a lot of times what I see happen is, you'll have someone that is new to creating digital products. And what they want to do is go immediately to creating the digital product. They have no audience. They've done no research. They just think, I think this will be a good digital product. I'm going to go ahead and create it. And then they put it up for sale and it's just crickets. Nobody buys. And oftentimes that's because either it's not the product that people want to purchase, or number two, it's not the format that people want it in, or number three, because you don't have an audience, really no one is seeing your poll or I'm sorry, your page that's gone up, which is actually promoting it. So let's say, for example, you have a checkout page and you're directing people to that in order to purchase your product. That might be why they're just not seeing it. Another reason why they might not be seeing it is simply because you only posted it once or twice and again, they didn't see it. You have to also understand, even if they did see it, most people need multiple exposures to things. Typically, it's around 7 exposures before they're actually going to even check it out or buy. So, it's the repetition. You have to continually tell people about things, and eventually, if they're interested in it, they will check it out. But these are some of the things that I find is that you can't skip the steps and expect to have results. And what I mean by the steps is it is so much easier for you to take the time and build an audience. And then it's much easier for you to take the time to nurture the audience you've built through email marketing, which means you get them onto your email list and you start sending out a weekly email. That's where you can ask them, what is it you're struggling with? Because this is your own test group, if you will. This is your own group of people that have trusted you enough to give you their email address in exchange for, let's say, a lead magnet that you've created. And so now that you've done that, you can start asking questions about, what type of format would you like? Would you prefer a workbook? Would you prefer a short course? Would you prefer a master class? Would you prefer a swipe file? Would you prefer a template? You ask them that, and you would be surprised at the answers you're going to get. So once they start responding to you and telling you what they want, you create exactly what they asked for. It's just so much easier. And so now when you get ready to create it and launch it, you have a built-in audience versus I think this is what people want. I'm going to spend the time creating it, and then you launch it and crickets. Nobody buys. To me, that's a waste of time. And with what we do, we don't have time to waste. I mean, why would you spend an entire week creating something that you're not even sure if people want it? So here's another, and I'll throw this out as something that you might want to consider, which is pre-sell it. Sell air. Okay, let me tell you what I mean. I've done this numerous times. All right. Here's what I mean by sell air. You say, this is the product that I'm planning to create. And all you've done is outlined it. You've got some bullet points. You're telling them what it's going to do. And you simply say, I'm going to put it, make this available. It's going to be available for pre-sale beginning on Friday. And it's going to launch 2 weeks from now. And the way I'm going to launch it is this. And you explain, I'm going to, have a kickoff or a kickoff YouTube, I don't know, live stream, whatever. You can figure out a way to do that. Now, here's the thing about pre-selling. If no one buys, don't create the product. They're telling you they don't want it. And I would much rather you do that than spend the time creating something and nobody's interested in buying it. Okay. So that's just kind of a little tip to help you out. As I said, I've sold air numerous times and it's helped save me a lot of time. But the other thing is, with something like that, right out of the gate whether or not people are interested in it. Okay. All right. So let's see here. You have not started building your audience. Okay. So one of the things that I would encourage you to do is, and I'm going to share with you in a little bit, I have my online community. Get into the community. You can join it at no cost. Now, there are some other levels that you can upgrade to, but I'll show you my community. And right in there, I have a content creation challenge in there that we did. We did a 5-day challenge in the month of April where I gave them specific things to post. We do a lot of stuff in there because my goal is to teach you how to build an audience, grow an email list, and so forth, so that you actually can start selling digital products that people in your audience want to buy. All right. I'll tell you about it in just a second. All right. So let's go ahead and take a look at some other things. You created a hair balance and hormones for women who are in menopause phase of life and are experiencing changes in their hair and how to navigate it. For my hair experience from your experience as a hairstylist. Excellent. That is excellent. So, and trust me, lots of people are going through that, as you well know. So that's the type of thing. Now, let me ask you this. Have you built an audience yet? Because if you've built an audience, then you could definitely, just confirm that that is in fact what they want, which I would think something like that would be, but just confirm it's what they want. And if they say yes, then you start actually selling it to them. All right. Now, the next thing is, what would you consider? Would you consider doing a video or setting up a payment processor if you aren't from the country? I'm from Jamaica. I would tell you to look for payment processors in your country that will allow you to do it, because with what you're selling, you may very well be able to just create a product or create something that's going to be a simple checkout page. Now, I can tell you that for me, the system that I recommend for individuals for selling their digital products, lead magnets, email marketing, and so forth, it's an all-in-one platform. It's called System.io. Check it out. I have a link in the description. I even have a video in there that walks you through how to set up your page to be able to sell. You would need to check it out to see whether or not it is available for use in Jamaica. I don't know off the top of my head whether or not it is, but what I can tell you is you can set up a free account. And so that way there's no money out of pocket. If it doesn't work for you, then you're not obligated to continue with it, because it is in fact a free account and it's free for life. Now, if you need to upgrade to get some additional features, those are available to you. And as I say, full disclosure, I am an affiliate for it. So I like to make sure you're aware of that as well. But yeah, you definitely could do that. Let's see here. And when you say doing a video, I want to go back to this. Are you talking about doing a video on YouTube or Instagram or TikTok, or where are you thinking about doing it? Because I think that definitely video conveys a message that sometimes words aren't able to quite as easily. So I love a good video. And right now, because when you think about the platforms that most people are on, it's all video, or a good portion of it is video. So I definitely think using a video is by all means a great way to communicate what it is that you offer. All right, so let's see here. All right, let me take a look at this. I have a website, but the funnel is difficult to use. Can I still use System.io to set up a funnel for my? Absolutely. Yeah, you definitely can do that. And click the link in the description box. Let me see if I can get into this video so you can see what the description box actually looks like. And I'll show you the video. Hold on one second. I'm going to share my screen. So this is the same video you're watching. If you go down below, it's going to say how to sell digital products online, and that's the tutorial video that walks you right through it using System.io, and you can also set up the free account there. So I just feel like for beginners in particular, this is definitely, System.io is definitely a way to go because number one, you can start free. If you need to upgrade, you can, but it has so many features in one place. Now, why do I even harp on that? Because years ago when I built my website, and I do have a personal website, what I can tell you is I had to piecemeal everything. So I had to build the website. Then I had to get a email processor and connect that. Then I had to build separate landing pages. So it was just a bunch of stuff all over the place. That was before System.io actually existed. Had I started now, if I were starting now, I would do everything on System.io. I wouldn't even fool with a Word. I have a WordPress website as well. I wouldn't even do it there. But that's, that's just me. So by all means, definitely check it out and see whether or not that's going to work with you. And the other reason is exactly what you talked about is setting up funnels on websites is difficult. If it's like a WordPress or something like that, I know because I've done it, okay, or attempted to do it. So that's why I'm telling you, I just think there are some other alternatives out there that might be a better fit for you. All right, now, the next thing that I want to share with you is why I harp so much on building an audience. Okay, I want to go back to this because that audience is going to get to know you. That audience is going to learn your style. They're going to get to know, like, and trust you, which must be in place before they're ever going to buy anything from you. And so being able to nurture your audience by regular content being created specifically for them. Also, being able to, for example, have a lead magnet that's going to address one of their problems. And then I like to say from your lead magnets, since you were able to get them to, exchange their email address in order to get your lead magnet, have your call to action on your lead magnet be your digital product, but they need to be connected. So you can't, let's say your digital or your lead magnet is all about knitting a baby blanket. Well, you can't come back in and have your call to action be, traveling with a family on a cruise because that just doesn't connect. And I'm being ridiculous with that, but I just want you to understand they do have to be somehow interrelated. So now what's going to happen is people will go through your lead magnet. They're getting to know you, your style, how you teach, and so forth. And now you're saying, if you want to go deeper, I've created this course that walks you through X, Y, and Z. Click the link. That when they click that link, it takes them right over to your checkout page, which is going to have bullet points on whatever your digital product is. All right. So that's the flow. So these are things that I teach within my community. And let me just pop my community up here so you can see what that looks like. I'm actually just going to show you. This is the About page. So the name of the community, again, is the Digital Business Roadmap. And so as I mentioned, I focus it's a new community. I actually launched it to everyone. I want to say it was in the end of March, early April, something like that. So it's a new community, but I'm excited about the community simply because one of the things that I do in here is I focus on those pillars, teaching you how to build or create content that attracts your audience. I teach you how to create and get your email list started. I also teach you how to create and sell digital products. And then we're going to be adding some other things in here, which will focus in on teaching you how to add in affiliate marketing so you can also start earning income from products that you would recommend, products and or services that you would recommend. Just a quick glimpse inside the classroom. So you can see there's quite a bit of stuff that's already in the classroom. There's a resource vault and so forth. So, if in fact you are interested in joining the community, there is a link below. As I said, you can join for free. And if you decide later you want to upgrade to have access to more of the products and also to some of the other things that I do with the community, with my community members, where I'm doing, online or what I call learn and build workshops. So here I'm talking about what to do, but within the community, I actually show you how to do those things. So by all means, click the link and I'll approve those of you that are interested later on today. All right, so now the next thing that I want to do is just quickly recap everything and of those 7 digital products. And maybe start with one that's easier to actually create and then work your way through them. So the first thing, again, is going to be a checklist. The second thing is going to be a workbook. The third thing is a short guide or ebook. The fourth thing, templates. The fifth thing is going to be a swipe file. The sixth thing would be a mini course. And number 7 is a toolkit. So honestly, the most difficult of these to complete is going to be the mini course. So again, you look at the other items, figure out which one you could create. And if in fact you do have an audience, do a quick poll just to make sure. Maybe go ahead and create the checkout page with the bullet points in there and sell some air. Okay. Now, one thing I didn't say was this. If people do buy, of course, you got to create the product and you have to deliver it within the time frame that you mentioned to people that you would actually deliver it. All right. So, are there any other questions that you all have as we are going through any of this? Again, drop those in. I'll be happy to answer those as well. But the thing that I always like to do is end these sessions with a bit of mindset training, because oftentimes as solopreneurs, one-person business owners, we are, there's just some different challenges that we're going to face along the way. So one thing that I want to share with you is that you're allowed to start small. Humble beginnings. No one should be, upset about humble beginnings or anything like that. In order to get to a point where you're able to create $500 a month or $1,000 a month, or, getting into the $10,000 months and so forth, is you got to start small. Everyone starts with no audience. Everyone starts with no followers. Everyone starts with, trying to figure everything out. But one thing I can tell you is that you shouldn't be, it shouldn't stop you. It shouldn't make you think, well, I should probably wait until I have X, Y, and Z in place. No, you should probably go ahead and get started, because if you don't get started, you're likely going to be in the same place next year as you are right now, because we keep putting things off. We keep procrastinating about when we're going to do it or how we're going to figure certain things out. And this is where I also say, too, get yourself involved in a community. And that's why I also push you to check out my community. Now, it doesn't have to be my community. Get in somebody's community. Why? Because it's so much easier to build a business like this when you are surrounded by individuals who are going in the same direction you are going in. People that can encourage you, people that can share their experiences, people who can mentor you. I can tell you, for example, of some of the communities that I'm involved in. One is YouTube. When I learned YouTube, I purchased a course, but they had a community to it. I joined that community and I've learned so much from it. Another thing is the software that I use to live stream is called Ecamm, and I'm in that community. And so I've learned a lot of things there. All I'm saying to you, and I could name 3 other communities that I'm a part of. Am I in those communities every single day? No, but I can tell you I'm definitely in those communities several times per week. All right. And it might just be I pop in for 5 minutes or I do a quick search to learn something and move on. I just want you to know that starting small is fine. But it's much easier to actually grow with other individuals where you can bounce ideas off of them, where you get to see, maybe things that they've done in order to achieve a certain level of success and so forth. So, all of those things are, let's see, you said you could not access the course for purchase on your website. Which, tell me what it is that you're looking to purchase. So I know and I can tell you what to do in order to resolve that. But as I mentioned, I want to make sure that what it is that you need to do in order to get moving forward. Because you have to remember, everybody who's at any level of success started where you are right now. So unsure. Not really knowing what to do, all of those things. So press forward, you can figure this stuff out. I love to say that everything we do in this type of business is something that you can learn. You don't have to have been born with this stuff. You just learn it along the way. For example, I learned YouTube. I learned how to live stream after, a really rough start. I learned how to create courses. I learned how to create master classes, which are another thing that I think are phenomenal for new people to do. But again, you got to be comfortable in front of a camera to do it. So there were a lot of different things that I had to learn, but I learned it. I just decided I was going to, and I did it. And that's the way you have to be. You have to just say, I'm going to learn it. I'm going to figure this stuff out because there's nothing about me that, is going to prevent me from moving forward. And here's one last thing that I want to leave you with, which is this right here. And this will probably make you really think about it, which is right now, you may be holding back on releasing something or taking the next step, but there's somebody out there that has less talent than you, doesn't know as much as you, can't teach as well as you, doesn't have your experience level and so forth. But what they did is they put their stuff out there and people are buying it. People are joining their communities. People are downloading their lead magnets. People are doing all sorts of things simply because they put themselves out there. So I always say, let your light shine. Make sure that you, in fact, are able to, push yourself to do it. We all have to do it afraid. And if you do it afraid, you're likely to be able to actually get better each time. You'll become less afraid and you'll realize you are impacting other people's lives. And right now, there's somebody right now waiting for you to decide to put your stuff out there so they can learn from you. All right. So, let's see here. I want to answer this one other thing. I'm using my free checklist to build my audience, but is it a good idea to add a pic of my upcoming ebook to that lead? Yes, it is. It definitely is. You could just say coming soon and have a picture of the cover. That would be a perfect way to be able to do it. Let's see here. This is all right. This is where I was saying, I want you to move. I'm moving everything from that website. As a matter of fact, I need to hide that page. I'm moving everything from that website over to my digital business roadmap community. So this is where I was saying to you earlier, I almost wish I didn't have the website in place because I would just shut it down and move everything. And that's what I've done because it's easier for people to actually be in one place where they congregate and then have the courses. That's why, let me go back to show you this page again. That's why all of my courses will end up here. So anything that I currently have, I'm in the midst of updating several things, but this is the classroom section, which means all of the courses are going to be available there. All right. So hopefully that answers. I'm glad you pointed that out to me. I'm going to go back after we get off of here and actually hide those pages so you can't even see them. So I rarely even use my website. It's interesting because some people actually find it when they Google me. But most people find me through my YouTube videos, and then within my YouTube videos, I tell them about the community, and that's how they connect. All right, perfect. So if this was helpful to you, I'd appreciate it if you do a couple things for me. One is give the video some thumbs up. You can also share it with someone, maybe your business besties, that could benefit from this type of information. So I definitely want to say thank you for being on live with me. And if you're watching the replay, thank you as well for watching. And as I said, if you have any questions that you think of later, then drop them and I'll come back and I will check the video's comments and I will answer them at that time. So with that being said, we're going to get ready to wrap up here. So I want you to have an awesome day and an even better week. And I will see you next week, Wednesday, 12 p.m. Noon Eastern Time on the same channel. Take care and have a